Hi, welcome to Jewellery Vintage. Apologies that I haven't put any videos out for a long time. I was recording them last year, doing a lot of unboxing videos, and they never got edited or put on YouTube. So hopefully we'll be into doing some more videos now. Hope you enjoy this one, and don't forget to find me on TikTok and Instagram as well at Jewellery Vintage. I'm at my sister's again recording this bundle of jewellery that I bought from eBay. So this was £11.45 including postage. So £7.50 for the lot and £3.95 for postage. That's British pounds if you're watching anywhere else. And there is more of it. I couldn't show you the actual envelope it came in because I kind of destroyed it trying to open it. So I've split it into two, and actually mostly what we've got here is the bigger stuff. So the necklaces, and you can see there's a couple of watches and bracelets, but there are a few smaller things as well. And I shall go through them. Not as excited about this lot. It was described as being vintage costume jewellery. I think some of the bits is stretching it a bit far to say it's vintage. Even vintage sort of 2002 as vintage is now considered. But tell me what you think. You may disagree. And certainly this lot, there's a couple of things in that excite me, but a lot of it I think not going to do a great deal with. So let's get a bit closer. I shall start over here with the bracelets because they are two of the things that I don't think are particularly vintage, and I don't think they're that special either way. This one is like a charm bracelet, but it feels very cheap. It's just on one of those stretchy bands, so you can't add and remove charms, and the charms are very cheap and lightweight. So I don't think that is a vintage item. Quite nice sparkly turtles and things, and then this one slightly more unusual bead, but I don't think that's even glass. It feels like plastic. Similarly, this is quite nice looking mother of pearl stone set around it, and this gold tone bracelet might be a 1980s 1990s bracelet, but it's extremely light. It doesn't feel very heavy and at all, and you know, you quite like bangles to be quite chunky and heavy, or I do, but it's quite pretty, but again, nothing special. Then we'll go on to the watches, both of which are broken, sadly. The first one is a cheap, you can see, I don't know if you can see very in there, but you can see it's missing bits. If you look really close, you can see where the little stones and gold sections to mark the numbers should be. They've all kind of fallen inside and broken off. So not particularly special, and just says that it's stainless steel back and china movement. So yeah, nothing special. And actually, if you look at it, you see all the gold tone is wearing off as well. So that's kind of junky. This one is a bit nicer and it's still working. It's a Citizen watch, and it's, I can't get the, can you see there what it says? WR50, so I'll look that makeup. But the problem with this is it's lovely, it's in good condition still. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to focus in on it, except that it's broken, the clasp has gone. So I don't know, there might still be some value in selling that. Somebody might want to use that and put a new strap on it, but it is working, which is amazing. So that's that. Then these were interesting. These two pins, these little badges, they're enamelled badges. This one I don't think is worth as much, or is worth much. It's a Girls Brigade badge. You can see it's nice shape though, and it's just definitely older. You can tell partly by the clasp. It's just one of those standard little hooking clasps, but also both of them have on the back written H.W. Miller Limited, Birmingham 18. H.W. Miller made British badges. They ceased trading in 1978, so we know they're older than 1978. I don't know what the 18 means. It must just be part of their branding, or it refers to something about where they were in Birmingham. But they ceased trading in 78. They started trading in 1935. So it's not the year. They weren't made in 1918. But sometimes these badges can be worth a little bit. Even the Girls Brigade badges, although I don't think this is one of the really old ones that is worth quite a bit, but it is in good condition, so it might still sell. And this one, I don't know what it's for. Some kind of emblem or heraldic thing. It could be anything. It could be for a football club. It could be for bowling. You know, it literally, they made these badges for so many different kind of companies and organisations that it could be for anything. If it is a football club, then let me know, because you might recognise it. I don't think it's for one that's current. It doesn't stand out as one that I recognise, but I could be wrong because I'm not big on football. But let me know if you recognise what that's from. That one will need a little bit more research to see if it's worth anything to anybody. Sadly, this Damascene brooch, which is quite old, I would say, based on the long pin and the clasp again, but look, it's all damaged. It's absolutely no use, really. You can see there's huge chunk. I think it's made out of wood. It's huge chunks. There's two chunk taken out this side, and then there's a big chunk taken out this side, which this one you could get away with because it doesn't show very much, but that one obviously is visible from the front. But it's a shame because it's kind of inlaid with this gold design, and it would have been quite pretty brooch to keep, but not much good in that state. And similarly, as is often the case with these kinds of brooches, this one is damaged as well. It's a fine bone china, Ainsley fine bone china brooch, and you can still get them in decent condition, but more often than not there's some kind of chipping on them, which is such a shame. But you can see it's branded on the back, Ainsley fine bone china, made excuse me, made in England. Okay, sneezing fit over, and I'm back, and let's take a look at this brooch. Quite like this, like a head of wheat, an ear of wheat. Quite detailed design, gold tone with some silver detailing on it to make it really stand out. Lovely 3D design. Unfortunately, the pin on the clasp is quite bent, but it still can be worn. It still fits into its clasp nicely, but no maker's mark that I can see. Still a nice little vintage piece there. This, not so nice, this necklace. It's pretty, green flower. I don't think it's even glass. It's incredibly lightweight and cheap feeling. Don't suppose it's particularly old either, but it does catch the light nicely. It's just not much of anything really with that weight. I'm going to go up here next, which you can't actually see. We're off camera there, but bring this forward. Again, very lightweight, very sort of cheap feeling. It's Avon. There is an Avon mark on here somewhere. There it is. Can't get my fingers around it. Can you make that out? No, I don't think so. Anyway, it is Avon, but I would think this is probably fairly modern Avon. Some of their costume jewellery, some of their vintage costume jewellery is actually beautifully made and worth picking up. But this just feels incredibly light and cheap. And I would say it's probably a fairly recent item, because they did stop making such nice jewellery. This one I don't know much about. It's quite pretty. It's not, it looks like it could be painted wood. It's actually not. I think it's some kind of acrylic plastic beads. Different colours, got a lot of gold in it. Quite pretty, no maker's mark, and unfortunately the clasp needs a little bit of work to make it work again. I think it might be missing a piece, but certainly this bit is very closed down, so you couldn't just hook that round it. So I think it's probably missing another section so that you actually have a proper clasp on it. Again, quite light, doesn't feel like glass or wood. It's that little bit too light to be either. What haven't we done yet? Right, let's move down here. This one I thought was very pretty, and I would say this is vintage, based solely on the clasp. There's no maker's mark that I've been able to find, but it is one of these screw-in clasps, which suggests it's that little bit older. Nice little orange or coral beads, and also these nice gold tone connecting pieces with flower design in them. Quite like that. I'm going to do a little bit more research on that to see if I can date it, because it's very pretty and it's definitely vintage. So we'll see if I can find out any more about it. Over here, as often I get in these lots, is a faux pearl necklace. Sadly, not one of the better ones I have found. You can see it's showing its age a little bit, with it needs restringing really. Quite an old clasp again on that, but you just see there's gaps in the between some of the pearls, and it looks like it's been tied off and fixed a couple of times there. So nothing special with that one, just kind of what you expect sometimes from the faux pearl vintage jewellery. Right, where am I? What haven't I covered? Let's move over this side a little bit and see what we've got left. This, again, nothing exciting. It's made to look vintage, and it may be newer vintage, you know, sort of 1990s, but it's actually from Next. So it's actually from, I don't know how long Next have been around, certainly as long as I have pretty much, but it's just cheap costume jewellery. If you're not in the UK, Next is one of our high street clothing stores, so they also sell jewellery and things like that, but it's usually nothing too special. It's not particularly collector's items or anything, and this quite possibly could be more recent than the 90s. This bracelet is quite cool looking. I like the rattle. It's got a locket, a heart-shaped locket on, which does open. But overall, it's pretty cheap feeling. It's got that nice sort of enamelled butterfly on it, but these stones here are very cheap and plastic, and overall it's not a particularly heavy bracelet, so I think it's been quite cheaply made. No idea how to date it. Could be anything from 5 years old to 35 years old, but it's got an interesting clasp there. Again, I would suggest that whatever age it is, it's probably just come from some high street clothing store like the next one that just makes jewellery as well, and not overly special. Right, where are we at? What haven't we covered? You might be able to see from here. We've done all this, we've done all this. These two, I think, are what's left, aren't they? So let's go to this one first. Let me go back in. This is quite pretty, actually. Some lovely stones in it. You can see. Oh, what do you call those stones? Like moonstones, aren't they? Catched in light nicely. It's got this little bow in the middle, and actually it does have something written on the clasp. And it did take me some serious because I'd not heard of this company before, and it's a little bit kind of blurred, the brand. You're probably not going to get that, but we'll try for it anyway. Anyway, when I first looked, I thought it said Lee something, basically because all the vowels are kind of blurred into what, you know, they've like filled in the area where there would be a gap. So it looks like, I thought it was Lee something, then I thought it was Los Neraldos. So I thought it was Spanish, and then actually after doing a Google search it came up as Les Nereides, or probably French. Actually it's a French company, I think, so it's Les Nereides, something like that. So the company was they do quite high-end jewelry, costume jewelry. It's quite expensive stuff. They're still in operation, and they've only been around since 1980, so this isn't going to be particularly old. It is very pretty. It's worth me having a look to see if it has got any value in secondhand costume jewelry from that company, but the only thing is it feels like it needs a really good clean. It feels the chain has got really grimy, and the only problem is I'm not sure how easy that will be to clean without potentially damaging some of the stones. So I'll have to have a look into that, see if it's worth trying to clean it off a little bit. But yeah, it's not going to be too old, but it is from quite a high-end French costume jewellers. And similarly, again, this one, which is very bright and shiny gold tone. You can see there, we've got on there, it's on one side it says Pilgrim, and on the other it says Danish Design. And that company, Pilgrim, has been around since 1983. Again, do some quite nice costume jewelry. I love the like really pale blue sort of stones on here. I don't know what they're made of. I don't think they're glass, but they might be glass. And then we've got it interspersed with these kind of gold and coppery kind of coloured stones. And then this one random, very bright, glittery gold bead on there as well. So lots of different beads. Quite a nice overall effect. It's a three, let me come out a little bit, 3 strands coming from it. I'm not hanging right, is it? There, so 3 strands coming from it. These nice sort of gold tone chains, and still quite bright and shiny, so I would imagine it's probably not too old, but again, that needs a little bit of research to see if there's a market for secondhand Pilgrim Danish Design costume jewellery. It's not one I've come across before. Similarly, I hadn't come across this Les Nereides. No, I keep making it sound like it's Spanish. It's not, it's French, I promise you. I just can't do the French accent and pronounce it properly. So yeah, so that's the first half. Hopefully I shall get to the second half before my sister gets home, so you can see what else is there and decide whether you think there's some bits in here that are worth it. But in the meantime, I shall pause the video and get to the second lot. Well, I didn't get to make the second video with the second part of this jewellery job lot that I bought at my sister's, because she did come home earlier than I was able to get it done. So I'm now at home on a different table. I hope the light's good enough in here. It's a really dark and dreary day, so some of the light is natural, but most of it is from the normal room light. So we shall see how that picks up or not. So this is what we've got left from that job lot, which cost £11.45. I've zoomed out for it. At the moment, I have to say I'm not overly excited by what I found. And you may say, well, Lisa, you paid £11.45. What did you expect? But usually I buy these things and I start off, unless something has really leapt out at me as being, you know, like a named piece of jewellery or whatever, I often feel this way, like, oh, I'm not sure, there's nothing too exciting. And then gradually I realise that actually there are one or two things in there that I think actually that will make me my money back and a bit more. And then everything else is extra, isn't it? Everything else is something that I can keep for myself or bundle up and sell on to people who like the broken stuff. That can go to people who repair jewellery or crafters, that sort of thing. Other things can be sold in a job lot of just incidental jewellery. So none of it's wasted, but sometimes it takes me a while to warm up to what I've got. So in the last lot of stuff, there wasn't a lot in there that really excited me. The couple of things that I did like were broken, like the Damascene brooch. That was quite nice. One of the watches, though, even with the broken strap, I do wonder whether that could just have a new clasp put on it and it would be fine. But it's a decent watch otherwise. And those two sort of more modern costume jewellery pieces, I quite like to explore those and see what I've got there as well and see if they're worth anything on the resale market. But let's move on to these smaller pieces I have. I've zoomed out, you can see them there. Let's zoom back in again. I'll start over here with some of the earrings because there's quite a lot of earrings here. These are quite interesting. They're peacocks, I think. Peacock, oh, it goes this way, doesn't it? Yeah, you can see there the head of the peacock in the middle. Yeah, we've not got very good light. And then it sort of fans out around it. And these are stud earrings. Unfortunately, one of them is, you can see, it's a little bit bent, the back. That's that one. The other one I think was okay. Yeah, that one's okay. So that's a shame. No branding on it, but that's quite a sweet little piece. But whether I will resell it individually, I don't know, because of that slightly bent back. And I don't like to try and push them back into straighten them up, because I've done that in the past and broken things. So don't trust myself to do that. We've also got these pink 3-leaf stud earrings with the little diamante centres, enamel. Again, nothing terrible about these actually. They're quite sweet. No brand names again. Don't know what era they would be from. I would say they're probably a little bit more modern, but I think they're quite pretty. Just nothing overly special there. These ones are quite like very mid-century. They're clip-ons, and they've got this faux pearl centre and kind of a flower design. But unfortunately, the second one, the gold tone on it is damaged here, you can see. And it's not just that it's got a mark on it, it actually has taken off the gold tone. So unfortunately, those aren't much use. I'm just going to pause the video because it's suddenly got darker in here. I'm going to see if I can get a bit more light on things. I'm not sure that's helped any, but we'll keep going. Oh, this was an individual. I think it came as just the one. silver tone earring with a big stone, like glass in whatever it is, rhinestone in the middle, but there's only one of them, so that's not much use either. These are interesting because they are heart earrings, and I thought it's quite an unusual earring, and then I realised when you take off the back, this part just slides off the stud very easily. So what I think somebody has done is kind of jerry-rigged two earrings into one, because they're both the same. It's not like it's come loose, I don't think. It actually is like a stud earring with this kind of purpley amethyst stone in it. And then they've kind of slid on these little hearts onto the earrings. So that was interesting. Nothing special, again, nothing special, but I thought that was quite fun. These, again, these are very, very much of their era. A lot of earrings were in this kind of style. I've got some Napier ones that are fairly similar. This kind of gold tone flame earrings. They're not bad quality. There's no brand name on them, no markings, but they're not bad. They're quite a good quality costume jewellery earring, and I've got a decent pair there, so those might end up on my Etsy store. If you haven't been there before, it's Chula Bula Vintage on Etsy. We've got some lovely stuff on there. Only the best stuff ends up on the Etsy site. So these probably won't end up on there. They are for pierced ears. They're like a decorative button circular earring. I'm not sure what the design is. It's a little bit kind of Aztec-y in design, but there you can see there is this mark across it. I'm not sure if this can be cleaned off or if this is permanent, but there is a little bit of damage on that one. The other one, not so much. That one looks okay, but yes, I'm not sure. The discs have got that unusual design, so I quite like them, but unless I can sort out that mark on the other one, I probably won't sell those individually. And these are just a bit of fun, hammered disc earrings. I think that's what you call them. Just two discs with these kind of, looks like holes, but they're not. They're just little indents. And they're a little bit dirty on the back, you can see as well. So that's most, or I think that's all the earrings. Oh no, we've got some more come up, but I'll leave those a little bit because there's something a little bit nicer. Then we've got this, which is a pendant. Oops. It's a pendant. Again, no markings on it. Don't think it's anything special, but it's quite pretty. This kind of circle, gold tone circle with this pretty stone in the middle, multifaceted. In some lights it looks like a citrine, and in other lights it looks kind of pinkish, so I don't know what it is. Probably just glass. I'm not very good with my stones and things, but I would imagine because it's a fairly cheap piece of costume jewellery, it's not going to be anything overly special, but that's different. Haven't seen that around before, or not for, not that I remember. Then we'll move on to the scarf rings. This is a scarf clip brooch. I quite like these, but the gold tone is wearing off a little bit on this wreath. Again, this is quite a common design for scarf brooches, the wreath, and also, although it has quite a strong clip on it, I think it's actually out of alignment, because normally the clip will sit quite neatly behind the wreath. But this one, you can see it pokes out here and it's poking out there. So I think it might be damaged. It still works as a scarf clip, but I think it's a little bit out of alignment now. This scarf ring, on the other hand, is in very good condition, nice shiny gold tone. I thought I could see very faintly something etched on it, but I haven't been able to read it, even with my loupe. So I'm not sure if it has got a maker's mark on it. And it's got this lovely blue, well, it looks like a stone, some kind of blue stone, but actually I think it's resin. It feels like resin to the touch, but so it's probably not a particularly valuable piece, but it is quite sweet and it's in good condition, and I think that would look really nice with a particular, you know, with the right scarf around your neck. That's quite a nice one. Couldn't tell you what era that is. I would say probably more modern than not, but not completely sure. Oh, I've forgotten about these earrings. Look, they're hiding up here. These ones I like a lot, actually, because they're not chipped or anything. I think they're enamel. They are clip-ons. They've got these big sort of padded bits on the clip-on. Can't see any maker's mark. But they're kind of enamel. In the middle, they've got these little diamante centers, and I think all the stones are there. And I just think they're really pretty. The different coloured kind of greys, almost a little bit of purple in there with the leaves. So I really like those. Those are very pretty, and I would say they're definitely pre-70s, probably 50s or 60s, I would think, but no particular maker's mark on them. Then we've got this bracelet, which is quite a common kind of style of bracelet, with all the little diamantes in, little rhinestones. When does a rhinestone become a diamante, or a diamante become a rhinestone? That's my question for you today. Nothing overly special, but it actually is quite well made. It's got a good fastener clip on it, and it's a bit better than your cheap costume, but I don't think it is a particular maker. I don't think it's got any precious metal or anything in it, but it is quite a nice piece, and it's in very good condition, so I did quite like that. This looks like it might be amber. I don't think it is, but it is amber style, kind of pendant, I suppose. Needs to be threaded with something. It's the kind of thing you think would probably come with like a leather or some kind of cloth, what do you call it, around it to hang around your neck. So I think it's a fairly modern piece, quite boho. But yeah, nothing particularly special there. But this I really like. This is, I guess, a pendant again. You can see where the pendant would hang. And it's a butterfly, but it's like a folded in butterfly. It almost makes you think it should open like a locket and open out, so the butterfly is like open up. But it doesn't, it's just double-sided, but it's this lovely, vibrant enamel on it, really beautiful colours. I haven't been able to find anything similar. I have found brooches that are in a very similar style, and that was by a Norwegian designer. But this one, I've not seen it as a pendant, not seen anything exactly the same design. So if anybody knows anything about this, I'd love to hear from you. But apart from a tiny bit of oxidization, bit of tarnishing there on the antenna, it's in a really good condition. I really like that piece. So that's one of my favorite pieces overall. And actually this appealed to me. This is one of the things that appealed to me when I was buying it. We've got another enamel. Again, I think it's for a pendant, but nothing through here. It probably needs another loop before it gets hung onto a chain. And this one's very lightweight, so it's very pretty, lovely colours in it, lovely flowers, No markings, but yes, it does feel a lot lighter weight than some of the older or better enamel pieces. And then I think finally, I think that's the last thing apart. Yeah, these are the last things in this, and these also appealed to me when I was buying them on eBay. These are some clip-on earrings, and if you look carefully, you'll be able to see the mark, which is the fish crown mark, which is a combination of two companies, the fish company and the crown company, I think is correct. Based in the UK, did a lot of beautiful enamel jewellery, and these are no different. Blue, kind of cloisonne style, enamel round earrings, really pretty. Is that, I think that's hibiscus, is it, in the middle? I've sold some hibiscus jewellery before from them, although I'm not sure the leaves are quite right. But really pretty earrings in really good condition from Fish Crown, so Fish and Crown, I should say. So yeah, so those particularly I really liked, and this pendant I really liked from this batch. There are a couple of other things that I think are probably worth selling individually, or maybe batching up together with a couple of other things that are similar. Or for example, with this, I almost feel like I've got a couple of really nice scarves I'm thinking of selling, some really good named scarves, and actually the blue in this would match with one of them very well. So maybe I just give it away with the scarf if somebody buys it. I don't know, I'll see, but nothing gets wasted. And although it wasn't the best, these were also, I think, a nice find as well. So although it wasn't the best job lot I've bought, it certainly wasn't the worst, and there's certainly enough there to keep me happy and to make my money back and a little bit more. Let me know what you liked, let me know what you think. If you spotted something that I haven't that I should know about, then do let me know, because I'd love to know more about any of the jewellery that I show on my videos.